Welcome back to Retail Therapy. It feels good to be back. My name's Will. Barrett Dudley. How are we today?
We're doing all right, man. Yeah, it does feel good to be back. It feels like it's been months and months and months with no recording, with no podcast. And Will, the vibes have shifted. The vibes shifted while we were
crazy
away.
shifts.
I don't know if you know that, but it's no longer Brat Summer. We while we were gone, we moved straight into demure and mindful fall.
Okay.
And so that we completely missed that vibe shift. We weren't here to cover it, and that's what happens when you go on holiday in August. You know, that's why we don't do that here in America. That is shame on the Europeans for doing it. That's what I say.
So I'm glad you brought this up because before we started recording today, I was talking to Randy, and we were just saying, like, it feels like it's been forever, you know, with all of us out, like it's been a disconnected crew.
Right.
And he was like, he's like, it's been so long that we didn't even cover Demure.
Nah.
And I was like, you know what? I almost knew that we weren't going to be able to do it. So I didn't even try to understand what was going on during that whole thing.
All right.
I just simply knew that I was leaving town. I wasn't going to do anything with it. Can you explain where that originated and where did that start?
Started on a TikTok.
Okay.
And there's I honestly don't even know how to explain it. It's a TikTok of a woman talking to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a body lady, I would say. BAWDY. I think that's my best descriptive word. And she's talking to the camera about basically her rules for going to work.
Okay.
And how she dresses at work.
Okay.
And about how all these floozies out here, they don't do it like her because she when she goes to work, she's demure. She's mindful. She's very cutesy. That's why she gets it, you know? And that's why these other bitches, they don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It took over like
it
crazy.
Exploded on the internet in a way that I'm having a hard time remembering something like it equivalent. Because within days, the only caption that you could see on Instagram was very demure, very mindful, or some combination thereof of cutesy, demure, mindful, like all of that. Like it was like, I've never seen so many people utilize a caption before. Like that, like that's the piece of it that was so interesting is that if you were post like after that video, after that TikTok went ultra viral, if you were posting on Instagram that week, you had to adopt it into your caption.
It's rare that I say this, but it was going so crazy that I almost didn't want to touch it. It was like, no, it doesn't need any help. Like, I feel like I don't want to do what everyone else is doing, so I'm going to stay away. But like I said, I because I was leaving town, I was like, I don't even need to think about it. I'm going to be offline for a little bit. I got my out of office message set. I'm done.
Yeah.
I was being mindful.
You were being very mindful about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have everyone back together.
Yeah. Just real quick, let me just check in with you here. Have you purchased your large hawk from Canoe Club yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I didn't know they were selling large hawks.
You didn't know? Okay.
No, but if you are a follower of Retail Therapy, you know that the Canoe Club boys are, you know,
yeah,
they're one of us.
I just figured you might have already purchased your large hawk.
No. I did witness some falconry going on though at a hotel we stayed at in Italy, which was pretty exciting stuff. So maybe I can commemorate it with this.
Yeah. It'd be on brand for you. Randy, have you bought yours yet?
No large hawks for me.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
Oh man. Did you go off in any duty frees or anything?
Did I what now?
Did you do any duty free shopping?
Well, I like to stop at the duty free shop. No. Should we just jump in?
I think we can. Today's going to be a very travel centric episode, as we've all been different places that are kind of cool.
Yeah,
and I think it's worth talking about each and every one of them. I've laid this out going. I've laid this out going Spain, Japan, Italy.
All right.
I wanted to break it up just because I didn't want us to stay in Europe for too long.
Yeah, you wanted us to start in Europe, then hit the Japans, then come back to Europe.
Yeah,
then come back Europe way.
Yeah. So I figured we could just start there. I mean, okay. So here's my first question for you, Barrett,
Okay. All right.
about Spain.
Yeah.
How did you choose Spain?
Yes. Yeah. All right. So we knew we wanted to do a Europe trip. We knew we wanted to do this kind of like big, longer, extended, like more than a week, basically, style trip. neither Laura or I had been to Europe since we were kids.
Mhm.
So we've been together a decade. Like this is not, we'd not made the journey across the pond. It's big on our list. And we really, really, really wanted to do Italy. Italy from the jump was like for a moment we were thinking like Portugal was very high on our list. And then we ended up having this shower, this kind of engagement party of which you attended, and we kind of like
I missed out on the tall pours of whiskey at the end of the night.
Right.
I was not aware of the situation.
Yeah, we had a little bit of an issue reaching our bar tab, so suddenly everybody was ordering the $90 whiskey. It was pretty sweet.
They were telling everyone to, and then by the time I got wind of it, they had shut the bar down, and I was like, damn it.
But so we had this game set up for everybody that attended to kind of like vote between these 4 places. Italy was the overwhelming favorite.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It was like overflowing.
Yes. So we got very, very, very bullish on Italy, and very quickly realized that to pull off the type of trip that we wanted to in the time span that we wanted to in Italy was with a travel agent specifically, because we didn't want to have to worry about all the nitty gritty of planning this trip either, was not going to be within a feasible budget, basically. Like staying anywhere decent on the Amalfi Coast right now is like €1,500 a night.
We sprinted away from the Amalfi Coast when we looked it up.
It's all like White Lotus ruined Sicily from what I understand.
Yeah.
So we kind of had
I've also heard that Sicily is not like the idyllic place that it's made out to be.
Yeah.
Like it's a little more, I don't want to, it's run down is a very terrible word for it, but it's a little more modest than what people are expecting.
Yeah.
And so that's like the feedback that I've gotten. Like it's really beautiful and stuff, but it doesn't have like the amenities that some people want when they're on like a nice luxurious vacation.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so we initially we started feeling out other places like the Tuscan Riviera. I kind of decided that I didn't think I wanted to be like kind of closed off in a resort, just like on a vineyard. I was worried that I would get bored with that. We actually thought about the Dolomites, but initially this trip was supposed to be in May, and Katie at Lux and Nix told us that the Dolomites are still a little bit too cool in May.
I believe it. We got relatively close to them in Lake Como, and
right. This is what. Yeah, that's where
it's hard.
I
They're
mentioned
hard
the
to
Dolomites
get
because
to.
that's where Lake Como is or close to.
It's hard to get to.
Yeah. So we started looking for like an alternative that felt adjacent but was slightly more affordable.
Yeah.
And we landed on Spain as the best alternative. We then had to push the trip from May to August, which would have opened up Como, Dolomites, places like that. But we were kind of locked into Spain at that point. And we liked the idea of kind of splitting the trip in half between a city like Barcelona, which is where we stayed for the first 5 nights, and then something a little bit more resort, beachy, island, that type of thing. And so we did 5 nights in Mallorca.
Can you describe the vibe of Mallorca to me as someone who's never done any research on it?
So Mallorca is part of the Balearic Islands, which are off the coast of Spain, and they're kind of like, man, this is I'm gonna pull from the only reference like point that I have really, but you know, like the rockier coasts of Mexico.
Yeah,
that's kind of the vibe that they have, like in regards to the water.
Okay,
like the beaches are very short. They are not very deep. And then a lot of the places that you'll see, a lot of the popular stuff on Instagram is more of like that rocky style.
Yeah.
Kind of like Amalfi too, where it's like cliffs and bluffs.
Yeah.
Rather than giant, large white sand beaches going out into shallow water, right?
You see people go to Mallorca, and I know that there's like great reasons to go there, but it's just one of those places where I haven't actually dove in to see. Like it's not, and it's mainly just because I haven't had the opportunity to even choose where I'm going on a European vacation the last 2 we've gone on.
Yeah.
And
right,
so it's like
decided for you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, I don't even need to worry about it.
It's also got some similarities, I would say, to like Bahamas or the British Virgin Islands, because it is like, it's a group of islands. So there's Mallorca, Ibiza, like kind of all in a little row. And so you're going to see things like giant marinas with Jeff Bezos' yacht in it, which we did in the Bay of Palma. So like
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's Yeah, they're European coastal islands that have resorts, swimming pools, smaller beaches, and a lot of boats and marinas and opportunities to get out into the bay, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Does that?
Yeah.
So yeah, Mallorca was awesome. Unfortunately, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I came down with what I believe to have been salmonella food poisoning from a raw egg in a pasta carbonara.
How's the carbonara though?
Not very good.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to get food poisoning, I would say that one of the more baller ways of getting it is from your pasta in Mallorca.
Yeah. No. So this was our last night in Barcelona.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't want it the last night.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to jump right into the story of the sick travels. Okay. Because I woke up at our last night in Barcelona. We're traveling to Mallorca the next day. I wake up at 3:45. From 3:45 to 6, I'm basically, you don't want to know. It's the dark times.
Yeah.
For those few hours.
Yeah.
The next day, I am a complete shell of myself. I can hardly stand. I have to pack in the morning. I have to get to the airport. I have to wait around, and I have to get on a flight. I run in to a listener of the podcast.
Oh no. Oh no.
At the airport, not only at the airport, on the same flight.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, if it makes you feel any better, Barrett, there was a listener, or I guess maybe just a Sunday Scaries follower on my flight home.
Okay.
It was on the first leg, and she DM'd the Scaries account and told me that I didn't look well on the flight. And I was like, well, to be honest, I felt fine.
Living the brand, man. Living the brand.
Yeah. I told her, I was like, well, I'm going home to 2 sick kids, and also like I'm just not looking forward to being on a 14-hour travel day.
Yeah, that's always
so.
right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of over it.
But shouts to Gabriella. She came up. She said, "What's up?" She was also at our event in New York last year. She has awesome photos from Mallorca, by the way, as well. She was going to the same place. And so we had a good time chatting, but I was sitting over, like people were queued up for boarding, and I was sitting over off to the side because I couldn't stand in the line. That's how down bad I was. So I felt really, really terrible, not being able to like engage a little bit more, to the level that I would like to when, when meeting friends at the airport. So, that was fun. Also on that same flight, was where I hit the skids a little bit with my decision to go expandable on the away suitcase.
Did they make you check it?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they were always going to make you check it, Barrett. I told you not to expand.
I didn't. Okay, here's the thing. I did not expand. I never expanded. No expansion for me necessary. So it was.
I did not expand that suitcase.
So it was kind of like it was a little bit of a feather in my cap because I was like, I'm not going to expand unless I absolutely need to. And then I never expanded.
Because you famously did not check any bags. You weren't intending to check any bags anyway. You actually packed everything in your carry-ons.
I did. I got it all in the carry-on. Yes. Now, so here's the rub. On some of the, especially in Europe and on these little kind of like domestic European flights that are shorter, they're on these like kind of smaller airlines typically. That is where even with like a base bag, you can run into this.
Yeah.
Where they are going to be more diligent than like Delta typically is about making you put your bag in the little thing to see if it's the right size.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like getting out like a laser thing, seeing if there's anything sticking up. And it's absurd because all of these bags fit. These are not like the little puddle jumpers with the tiny little overheads.
Yeah.
Where you can only fit a squishy duffel. They fit just fine. They're just being, they're being hard asses about it. So I did have to gate check that, which meant I had to stand around at baggage claim on this day.
When you're feeling great.
In Mallorca, when I'm feeling, just super awesome. On the way back, Mallorca to Barcelona, I paid for the higher end boarding. And we basically sat there and fought with the gate agents about whether or not we were going to be able to bring these on. I was like, I paid for the top boarding so that this didn't happen.
Yeah, and you should. Like, if you're in the top boarding, then there's room.
I guarantee these bags will fit up above. Here's the thing: the hack for us, for Laura and I, the hack for getting carry-on only, was to essentially have just an like a crazy efficient personal item.
Yeah.
When your personal item is sitting on that rollerboard and it looks kind of big too, and they can see you have a lot of stuff, they hate it. They don't like that. They don't like that trick.
Barrett, I brought my what I would consider to be absolutely swagless OGO backpack because it's just an incredible travel backpack. It's got the right pockets, got the right everything, waterproof. It's just for travel. It's not the sexiest backpack, but it does work. But what I make sure to do is that I have to keep the perfect amount of space at the top of it for Sally's purse.
Okay. Yeah, right.
And right before, right when they call boarding, all right, I'm shoving that thing in and I'm zipping it up and I'm not even giving them an opportunity to say that we are not good. And so like I just went backpack, she went garment bag, and that's how we rolled. Yeah. And we ran into zero issues.
So y'all's personal items, in addition to the 2 rollerboards, is a garment bag and a backpack?
Yep.
I mean, that's impressive because we each have like these like kind of, softer duffel-esque bags that slide on the handle now and sit on top, but they got space, man. I'm about to get into the shopping portion of and gas up a brand that we kind of fell in love with over there. Laura came home with 3 new pairs of shoes. She carry-on only. She rolled home with 8 pairs of shoes in her luggage.
That's insane. The one thing that's the worst about carrying on everything is truly the shoes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
that's
impossible.
That's why this is such a hack. Both of the bags that we have like this little under compartment that zips, and you can like. I had 2 pairs of shoes in there. She may have had. I think for women, of average sized feet, you can get 3 in there.
Oh yeah, and if they're like heels or whatever, even flats, like the way that women's shoes are, it's so much more conducive to jigsawing.
Yeah, absolutely. But the backpack, speaking of Gabriella, we were kind of laughing about me getting my my bag gate checked. And she was like, yeah, they don't like the 2 big bags. That's why the backpack is clutch, because they don't really see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same visual presentation of like, hey, you're cheating with those 2 big bags. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's talk shopping real quick in Spain.
Let's do it.
Are you familiar with the brand? By the way, I'm not coming on here being like, hey, brand new brand nobody's ever heard of. I learned about this brand. I was vaguely familiar with it, and I got very familiar with it over there. Are you familiar with Massimo Dutti? Massimo Dutti?
Hold on. Please hold. Please hold.
Let me describe it while you're looking it up and seeing if you're familiar. It's basically higher end Zara.
Okay. It sounds so familiar. No, I'm thinking of Massimo Alba.
Yeah, right. No,
yeah,
Massimo Dutti is essentially high-end Zara. It's got some similarities to Club Monaco. Mm-hmm. Like it's very it's pared back. It's very minimal.
They've got a great Instagram
but
feed.
It's both like elegant and I shit you not, man. This stuff in Spain is priced like Abercrombie is here.
It's great. That's great.
The stores are beautiful. They are well curated. You are not dealing with the Zara-esque, like here are 17 of the same garments packed onto a rack. It's boutique style where there's like 2 of everything and you have to ask for the size that you want.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And the pricing over there, was just like crazy. Like I picked up this awesome jacket that I just couldn't walk away from. It was 150 euro.
I was going to say, I was just making sure it was in euro pricing.
Yes,
right?
but dude, the thing is, the dollar is strong against the euro right now.
Yeah.
So I think
2 years ago when we went over, because of whatever was going on over there, the dollar was stronger than the euro and pound, and we were just like, oh, this is great. I feel like I'm just killing it right now.
So I think 150 euro ended up $167 on my credit card. Plus, then I filed for the VAT back at the airport, got another $15 back. And
I knew you were going to be a VAT boy.
Oh, dude, you kidding me?
Sally was trying to get me to volume shoot on stuff. She's like, it's the VAT. And I'm like, it's still 16% off. I still can't afford it.
So did you happen to see my little dumb reel that I put together at the Loewe store in Barcelona?
Of course.
Yeah. I don't think it was dumb.
I don't think it was dumb either.
I'm such a rookie when it comes to reels that I forgot to do stuff like put a little blinking caption of what that reel even was. And then I didn't turn on caption, so you had to listen to sound. It's just dumb shit like that I don't think about yet.
You idiot.
I'm just. But that was really like the only luxury store that I popped in and around on. And like the people are not joking about going over to Europe to buy luxury bags.
Yeah.
Like I had them bring me out like all the cold card holders that they had in stock. And I was like, oh God, but they're going to be so pricey, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like the triple tone anagram logo one is 250 pounds. That's 400 US, dude.
We were in
when you buy it here. So like yes, absolutely. If you want to buy like a Louis Vuitton bag or Goyard or Loewe or whatever else, like you are crushing by going over there to buy it, and then especially filing back the VAT.
Just the Milan airport had some of the most unbelievable shopping I've ever seen in my entire life. Like every luxury store you could ever dream of is just chilling in the Milan airport, the nicer Milan airport, not the shittier one. And it was just like, if you want to get something, you can just go do it right here. And Sally was like, oh yeah, and the best prices are in the airport.
Yeah. So the other place, so Massimo Dutti, you can shop US, you can go onto their website, you can still buy everything. It's just essentially like it's almost times two, but and the other place that we discovered that was the case is Zara Home. There's an absolutely beautiful Zara Home store in Palma, where we were like, we're just like looking around, like prices are unbelievable. The stuff is really, really good. And then you look up the US website and it's like, oh yeah, that's double for the US. So there's a lot of,
did you get a card holder?
What's up?
Did you get a card holder?
No, because they didn't.
Oh.
No, yeah. Because they had at the shop at that time, they basically had like tan and black.
Okay.
And I've always wanted like the kind of the wilder Loewe colors with like a kiwi green and an orange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't.
That's what I thought of when you were talking about looking at
and
them.
they didn't have one in stock. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to.
Are those
stop
technically
myself.
puzzle?
Yes, they're called puzzle card holders. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, I wish I would have gone. Sally even said when we were walking through the Milan airport, she's like, "Do you want to go in Loewe and see some puzzle bags?" And because she knows I think those are just great looking, and I didn't even think about the card holders in there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's see. I'm seeing if I can pull up I think this is the jacket that I got. Yeah, I think this is it. 260 on US, and basically walked out with this for $150.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You should be very happy with this.
So I was super stoked about this. I basically wore it home to get it. I just to get it through all the airports.
Yeah, I got my dad a birthday gift. His birthday was while we were over there, and I was like, well, I should probably get him something from Italy. And I was like, do I need to wear this double XL sweater on the flight right now?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to fit in my bag.
I'm very jealous of your Lake Como sweatshirt that you're wearing today.
Thank you.
It leads me to my next thing. We loved Palma in Mallorca. It was very, very crowded, which I'm going to touch on in a second, but really, really cool. Awesome little town. Our boat day was phenomenal. I wish we I could just spend 3 days on the boat.
Y'all went catamaran. That's fun. I've never been on a catamaran like that.
It is. I'm of the opinion that if you cannot be on a yacht, like a yacht standard, that catamaran is the next best choice.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree with you there.
You get some of the same cabin stuff, plus you have plenty of room to like lay out on the front of the boat, that type of thing.
Yeah.
If you get on like a real sailboat, there's like very little space to like just like lounge.
Well, that was something we confronted because we wanted to do a boat day in Como, and if you book it through like the hotels, it's outrageously expensive. And all of the boats that they give you are the boats that are typical of Lake Como, which are these like water taxis, and like they're not conducive to laying out and to hanging out and stuff. You're just kind of sitting on a pew across from someone and your knees are touching. And so we went off and found a different service. It was like LakeComoBoatTours.com or whatever it was. And our one thing was we wanted essentially like a little deck that we could just lay down on.
Yes.
And I'm so glad we did the extra effort, and we spent about half the price of what we would have spent. But we were on a relatively small boat, but having that to lay down on, I was like, I don't understand why you would ever do a boat day without that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hotel that Katie put us in and kind of chose for us basically based on everything she knew about us was called it was the Singular Hotel. It was Hotel San Francesc. And It was awesome. One of my favorite hotels that I've ever been at. And I was desperate for swag from this hotel.
Oh, dude. So I'm so glad you say that because like when we went to a couple of different hotels and I was like, Sally, I got to go to the gift shop. Like I want something with that logo on it.
What? Were you able to find it?
To be honest, the one hotel that I really wanted stuff from, it was all so high end luxury Italian. Like they had put it all on this really high end stuff. And I was like, oh, I just want like a t-shirt or like a casual cap.
Yeah.
And all the caps were like almost like to the point of F1 racing caps. They were just really ornate. And I was like, yeah, I don't need that. I just want a dad cap with this baller logo.
It's got my juices running about a business opportunity, Will. Like, how come somebody is not just out there basically running merch for all of these awesome little hotels? You know Larry David's Amangiri hat?
Yeah.
That's all I want. Like you see people with like, and like American resorts seem to have this a little bit more figured out, probably because a lot of them have golf courses. So they've worked that in. But even like the Ace Hotel in New Orleans, for example, had really, really cool merch, hats, tees, hoodies, that type of thing. Like there's no reason that badass boutique hotels in Spain or Italy or wherever else shouldn't have just like a little small, cool merch offering, man. They would crush with that.
We went to we just went for dinner when we were in Scotland to a hotel called the Fife Arms. It's a pretty cool hotel. There's like Picasso's in the lobby and stuff. Like it's a crazy place. But we knew we couldn't afford to stay there. So we were like, well, let's just go have dinner there and have a cool dinner. And we went in their gift shop and I was like, every nice hotel needs a gift shop that has all this. It was books about the hotel, local stuff with like tags on it from the hotel. We ended up buying a throw blanket and Sally unfortunately put it through the washing machine. But luckily they had a really good online shop. And so we just bought another one because it was very sentimental. And so we went and bought another one, but I was like, I'm so glad that they have their stuff together so that I can actually go online and buy another one. They gave it to us for a discount because they liked the fact that we were double dipping.
Yeah.
So that was very nice.
You liked it so much that you were rebuying after you ruined one.
Yeah. And so now we just have one. Nice. Now our dog has a very nice cashmere blend blanket that she lays on.
Hell yeah. That's luxury right there.
Did you end up getting anything or no?
No. So there wasn't anything to get.
Yeah.
That's it's one of my biggest misses from the trip is that like my souvenir is basically my Massimo Dutti jacket.
Yeah.
You know? But that's sometimes how it goes. But I do. Yeah, I don't know. I got to workshop something because there's these hotels should have cool little hats and stuff. They would sell them. I promise.
I liked the robe at a London hotel that we stayed at a while ago so much that I contacted the hotel and said, "What can I do to get one of these?" And they're like, "We'll just send you, or we'll just give us your credit card number. It's €45 and we'll send it to you." And I was like, "Sweet, that is exactly what I want."
Let me get to my do's and don'ts list.
Okay.
About traveling for Spain.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
It's not long. Okay. I'm going to start with probably the biggest tip for all of our female listeners out there. Your Dyson is not going to work in Europe.
Ooh, too high power?
Yes. So do not bring your air wrap. Do not bring your big jumbo Dyson hair dryer. It's not going to work out there.
Randy?
I'm not gonna bring it.
So don't waste the space in your carry-on luggage.
That's really good intel.
Don't waste the weight. They have 110 volt out there. Dyson is all 220 volt.
Yeah,
and
those old ass European walls probably don't like that.
And so your stuff's not going to work, and you run the risk of like blowing it basically. Yeah. So that's my first don't. Okay. Do remember to pack both Imodium and Pepto-Bismol.
Correct.
They do not have those things over there.
Sally, before our trip,
they don't exist over there.
Before our trip, so on our when we took our family vacation to North Carolina in July, we had 2 sick sons, and we didn't have enough meds or anything like that to like help anything. And so on this trip, Sally bought this thing that is essentially just this little folding thing, and we put everything we needed in there. By the end of the trip, we had used almost all of it. Like, I was so glad that we thought ahead, and we had Tums, Advil, sleep aids, melatonin gummies.
Was this basically a little pill case?
It was just a pill case that like unfolds, and whenever she brought it out in front of like her family, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's pretty amazing."
Laura bought a pill case about like yay big that has all these little compartments. And we had similar mix, just nothing for kids. We had Dramamine, Advil, Tylenol, our Zyrtec, like
we had Tom's
bunch of stuff.
Zofran,
but we did not have any Pepto-Bismol or Imodium, and I desperately searched for those two things and came up very empty.
Yeah, I learned last time we were there to not I don't even want to go to a pharmacia when I'm overseas. Like if I'm doing that, something has gone wrong.
Yeah,
very wrong.
My other do here is bring a Bluetooth speaker. I've stopped carrying these on trips mostly because almost every US hotel now is like equipped with something pretty decent that you can just kind of like throw your phone over to Bluetooth wise and like play a little bit of music in the room. Again, beautiful hotels in Europe and in Spain, not the same level of like providing you with all your technological conveniences.
I think Sonos went to every hotel in Lake Como and struck a deal with them.
Okay.
The exact same speaker was in every single room.
Interesting.
Like a very little tiny modest Sonos was in every single one. And I was kicking myself because I forgot, I packed a water bottle in lieu of the Bluetooth speaker. They have the same place in my backpack. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get more use out of the water bottle. I don't have room for the speaker.
Yeah.
And the second we got to like the villa, like the wedding villa that we went to, it was like, oh yeah, there's no way to play music right now. Luckily the groom had brought a speaker of his own. So we made it. But yeah, that's tough.
My last one, don't go in August. I wanted to save my biggest complaint, but until after I had gotten all the stuff that we loved out of the way. But the Spanish are mad about tourism, and they are kind of justified because I've never seen anything like this, Will. Especially Barcelona, but Palma as well. It's basically what I learned is that my best comparison is that being in Spain in late August was essentially like being in Florida over the summer.
Yeah.
Here, like it's easy for the entire European Union to get to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not expensive for them to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that it is a playground to them. So they treat it as such. And they are all from European countries that have architecture and old buildings and cobblestone streets and great art museums and all of this culture. So they do not give two shits about that. They are there to party and go to the beach and just and run absolutely amok.
Yeah.
So the August is when nobody works over there. That is when they all travel. There were Germans and Dutch and Finnish people and tons of French people, Brits, like very few Americans because all the kids are back in school already. But an overwhelming amount of tourists to the point that some stuff was just like unpleasantly crowded. Some of this also has to do with I think that Instagram has kind of ruined a lot of travel stuff. You have to go deeper and further and more expensive to get to like hidden gems and stuff that is kind of like out of the reach of tourists compared to 5 or 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and Spain is not immune from that. In fact, it might be suffering the worst out of all of the spots in Europe from the absolute overwhelming amount of tourists.
I did get a lot of humor out of the fact that there was a possibility you're going to get hit with a squirt gun while you were there.
Yeah, no squirt guns. I didn't actually see any of the protesters while we were over there, but I did see lots of like. I think the New York Times even posted an article while we were over there that featured a photo from Park Güell, which is a very famous like tourist attraction and national park there in Barcelona, designed and has a bunch of stuff from Antoni Gaudí. And there's a big like one of the spray painted like tourists go home.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that in Barcelona. Saw that in.
Did you get a pic in front of it?
Mallorca. No, I did take a picture of one that I saw on like a street bench,
mm-hmm.
But I did not take a picture in front of it. That felt a bit gauche.
That's how you get a tomato in your face.
Yes. So I can't wait to go back to Europe. I would absolutely go back to Spain, especially to Mallorca and maybe some of the other Balearic Islands. I'd love to spend a couple days in Ibiza, maybe check out Menorca. But I will be going back in shoulder season.
Love hearing that.
I am not going back in August. I'm going back in October.
We went in September to Italy 2 years ago when we went, and it was better. We didn't experience a ton of tourists just because the situations we found ourselves in were very hotel driven or wedding driven. And so but being there in September, there was a clear difference between going at the end of August and the end of September.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I kind of thought that I wanted a lot of like getting out and doing stuff and seeing the attractions, and so I'm coming back to like when we kind of vetoed staying at like a vineyard in Tuscany or whatever because I thought that I would get bored. I don't think that I would get bored. I think that I need to be more. I think I need to be more open to kind of being in these places and then locking it up at the place that we're staying.
Yeah,
because there's no because I'm just being a picky tourist, mad about other tourists being there, even though I'm a tourist. When you go to the museums and the tourist attractions, like, of course these places are crowded,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's summer, everybody's out of school, everybody's traveling in August, and they want to see the same shit that you do. So it's like, it's hard to have a leg to stand on as far as like complaining about it, because of course it's crowded.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. Like someday I'd like to go to Paris and see the Louvre. Someday I'd like to go to Rome and see the Colosseum.
We'll just do what all the celebrities did during the Olympics and just rent it out.
And I guess but I don't, at this point, I don't think there's any getting around the fact that when you go do those things, you are going to be shoulder to shoulder with hundreds and thousands of other tourists.
Yeah, if you want to go see the statue of David in Florence, you're pretty much signing up to be in a mass of people.
Yeah. So,
what was your favorite meal on the trip?
My favorite meal on the trip was a Katie recommendation. I do not think we would have found this place without her. It was a restaurant in Barcelona called La Dama. I posted several pictures from there on my stories. They're in a highlight.
Yeah.
They're in a Barcelona highlight.
I remember these.
And this place was like, it was on one of the main streets, but it was hidden. You like walked into this like really old office building, and then a door guy like brought you through around this back place to like the quote unquote like apartamento secreto, like the secret apartment, super luxe and like Baroque inside. There's some like it's like, the Tuxedo Club used to be a bar in like a members only bar in Barcelona that's now like folded into this restaurant.
I want to be a member of the Tuxedo Club.
And it was awesome. It was really, really cool. It was kind of like Mediterranean, but with like a French twist on the cooking. I think Laura and I each had like 2 drinks. We got dessert. We had multiple courses, oysters, like everything. And like we're like under $200.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. In a really, really beautiful restaurant.
The beauty of Europe is that they have not honed in on the fact that, like America has, or at least Austin has, that you can just overcharge for everything, and us dumbasses will still pay for it. Like it was refreshing to go there and eat really nice meals that were still so much less expensive than Austin and better tasting.
Yeah, I don't know what y'all were. It sounds like y'all were mostly at like hotel and hotel restaurants, but
yeah, we White Lotused it.
Maybe you don't have like a great comp for this, but one of the most shocking things, like price wise, is that wine in Spain is like €5 or €6 a glass.
It's great.
You can find a €10 glass. You can find a €12 glass, but like US right now, we're starting at $15 a glass.
Easily. There's restaurants in Austin where you're starting at $22 a glass, and it's like, that's ridiculous. I'm not doing that.
So it was awesome to have like beautiful Albariños and Verdejos and Riojas for €5. Like that was insane.
We went to a sandwich shop that had sandwiches for €3.50, and then we got 2 glasses of Lambrusco for €6 each.
Yeah.
Now it was the best meal. It was one of the best meals of my life, and I was just like, I love this place.
Yeah. So La Dama was probably our favorite, or was our favorite. There's another awesome little spot in Barcelona called Parking Pizza that has like a little side restaurant called Parking Pita.
Ooh.
That had. Speaking of sandwiches, we had like these little basically like these pita wraps.
Yeah, that's a good zag from them.
Which were incredible.
How pumped were they when they came up with that idea?
Probably pretty pumped. We had one tapas meal that we quite liked, but overall decided that we were not the biggest fans of tapas and like the kind of traditional Spanish and Catalan cuisine.
I've never actually dove into that, but I would venture to guess that I would be in the same boat as you. It's not something that I've ever like gravitated to. Even
it's just it's like a very unique flavor profile.
Yeah.
That you don't get much over here.
Yeah.
So you're just not like accustomed to it. Mm-hmm. It's like a weird spice blend, a lot of tomato base, a lot of squid, a lot of octopus, that type of seafood, clams. Yeah. So just a little different.
Yeah. Do I need to go to Spain?
I would go to the Balearic Islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Barcelona is cool if you love architecture and you need to check the big city off of your list. But
I need to escape cities on vacation at this point. Like I really don't have a desire to go to big cities. It's
outside of London and New York.
London, see, I don't even want to go to New York half the time. I just want to go to shop and take some fall pics.
On vacation specifically, we're talking.
Yeah.
But the Balearic Islands, I highly recommend. I expect we will be back at some point.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, today's episode is sponsored by Lux and Nix. No, when you hear him referencing Katie, Katie also helped us plan our trip too. And she's a friend of mine. She married a buddy of mine from my childhood. And she has a company called Lux and Nix, Luxe and NYX. And she does a great job planning everything. I had a Scaries episode with her on this same feed that you can scroll down and listen to, where she kind of goes through some travel hacks and tips and stuff like that. But she really has incredible recommendations and does a great job. So that's who we're referencing when we say that Katie helped us out, because she is truly really, really good at what she does. And I trust her so much. And I'll be honest, Sunday Scaries wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for her.
Wow.
She put up with a lot of my anxieties when I was in my 20s, and she helped me a lot with Sunday Scaries of like, Will, whatever. And so like on GChat, she would just be keeping me sane. So shout out to her. Randy, can you give us a retail therapy coded Japan recap?
Yeah, it was pretty good. All right, you want to talk Italy now?
Yeah, let's talk Italy.
What do you want to know?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for the record that you bought me. I'm very excited.
Have you spun it yet?
No, being that my kids have been sick all week and they're finally feeling better, I've felt a little guilty tossing on any records after they go to bed. So I've been trying to keep it pretty quiet around the house now. But it will be spun this weekend for sure.
Well, starting with that really quickly. Tokyo is such a big city and there's such like different parts. I knew I wanted to go to a record shop because I wanted to get some city pop. I've been really into that.
Can you say what city pop is?
It's like Japanese jazz, like poppy jazz from the 80s. And it's become really big recently, like so much that when I went to the big record shop, there was like a little section that just said like city pop. So I was like, perfect. This is what I was looking for. I don't have to go ask someone. Like it was right there. So I got that record that I got you. I got 2 copies because I want one for myself too. And I got another one too.
How did you travel back with the records?
I knew that I wanted to do a record. So I only brought a big check bag in my backpack. So when I went there, I knew that I didn't have like a carry-on coming back. So I only had a personal item. So I had like packed a little like bag in one of my suitcases, knowing that like I wanted to fill that up with records because that's what I transported on my mom's records when I came back. Okay. I was like, I know it's the perfect size that'll fit the records and any other like souvenirs or something like that do that. So I knew coming back that was going to be my carry-on, just a small bag. So got that, got some Beatles stuff too. But that area, I like looked up record store and I was like, all right, there's like 4 record stores right in this area. And they were all the same one, but like there was the main one, which I got the majority of stuff. And then there was one that was like specifically just classical. There was one that was specifically just jazz, specifically one that was just metal. So I was like, oh, like, so they're all the same company, but they have like smaller shops that are like very specific to certain ones. That was cool. But that area of the city is all music.
So why, as I've never been to Japan, but I obviously know the culture there loves a vinyl.
Yeah.
Why is it so big over there compared to over here? Because like everyone that goes over there takes photos in these record stores, and I'm like, I'm blown away.
They've got the like equipment room here is based on like a Japanese jazzy kisu. Which is like a listening room.
Is it just the Japanese way of doing everything to a T and like really doing everything to the best of its ability?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I get it.
And I just feel like they for me, I feel, and I could be wrong here. I'm just kind of taking a crack at it. But you know how basically like they took Americana workwear and prep and Take Ivy and all that.
Yeah.
And like they perfected it.
Uh-huh.
And then they kind of like sent it back to us. I kind of feel like that's what happened too. I feel like they got into vinyl through American music, loved all of that type of stuff, started doing it their own way.
Yeah.
And then kind of like you're saying, they just like found the ways to perfect it and make it the most hi-fi and the most like the coolest ways to listen to it. And I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just always wondered, but I'm really glad you did that because I didn't even realize that you were going to dive into the record stuff.
Yeah, I knew that was one of the things I wanted. It was just weird because I kind of stumbled upon that part of Tokyo. And then like you walk down the street, it's a guitar shop right next to a violin shop. Across the street's a saxophone shop. And like, that's all they were. It was like, so that whole like district was just specifically for selling music and like record shops. So that was kind of cool. So that was to do the record stuff. That was one thing. That was just in Tokyo. So what else? What else do you want other than records?
Randy, you bought a Uniqlo jacket,
Yes.
right? Yeah. How was that your first time in a Uniqlo?
Yes, it was. And I kind of didn't even know that's where I was in. I like a lot of the things in the shopping centers, like I was just pretty much window shopping.
Yeah.
And I saw that jacket. I'm like, oh, that's a cool jacket. You know, I'm going to stop in here. I have some free time. And then like I put it on if you're not subscribed right now, go on Instagram and go to the Ring the Bell.
Ring the bell. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's just our little broadcast channel on Retail Therapy. And I posted it and Barrett goes, Uniqlo's hit different over there. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that's where I was. I've heard them say that name before, but it was really cool.
And this is the jacket that you acquired for yourself, is the utility short blue San.
I got it in black.
How did price compare? Did you experience something similar as far as what you paid for this?
Here it says about $70. I got it for like under 50 there.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Best meal you had over there, Randy?
Yeah, you were going I was very jealous of like every dinner that you were having. You looked like you were just in these like small little restaurants eating the food of your life.
That's the best thing about Japan. Like I knew going in, I was like, okay, I kind of want to get some ramen and sushi. I got ramen once and sushi once because you can get pretty good ramen and sushi here in the States. Like it was all the random stuff that I was walking by. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try all this random stuff that I have no idea what it is. And like, I pretty much did not spend more than $30 for a meal the whole time. And that was the $30 was that like I was getting 2 drinks and I was like kind of like going off on this stuff. So I was working to get to that. $30.
Again, just to reiterate, like that was my experience as well when I was there last March. Is like I don't know what's going on over here in the States, but like food in all these great places like Spain and Japan is it's not as expensive, and it's kind of absurd because the food is awesome over there, and yeah, it is so much less expensive.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, it's just so many small shops that like there's maybe 10 seats, and like you're just sitting right there. So the best thing I had was the skewers, the meat skewers, the
yakitori.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was blown away by that. I'm like, this is delicious. The one I got where, if you guys saw my Instagram story, I created 3 highlights on my Instagram. So you can go.
I was going to say, you couldn't fit all those in one.
No, you only
I'm not lying. It was so nice to wake up every morning and be like, what did Randy do last night?
Randy was the king of content.
It was perfect.
Truly.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it was always nice to be able to do some stuff. So the place that I zoomed in on, the guy that had the American Spirits, that was the place that was probably the best food to me, the skewers. And I think it was like 5 meat skewers, 3 vegetable skewers, and a drink. And at that point, I like did the math. I'm like, that was like $10. I'm like, I can walk away pretty satisfied. I'm like, but I'm like, I also have room that if I wanted to eat more, I'm like, another round, like $20 for everything for another round. Sure. I'll be a glutton. So the second best thing I had was the fluffy pancakes. They were really good.
Yeah. Those are good. What was your favorite place in Japan?
So the whole first half of the trip was a part of the tour group where I was on a bus, and it was cool getting to see all these things, but it was more of like, we would stop for 2 hours max. It was maybe less than that. I was like, all right, go see the shrine, all that, but then be back on the bus. So it was cool getting to see a bunch of stuff and seeing Japan. So I enjoyed all that, but it felt rushed.
Right.
But the first thing I did in Japan was that open park that was like the Buddha temple and one of the shrines, and it had all the free roaming deer. That was top 3 experience for me, because you have all these deer come up to you. You can buy like these little rice crackers and feed them. They'll bow to you. But like the fun part is like they'll bow to you and stuff, and you're like feeding 2, and then you'll just get like kind of headbutt nudged in the back, and then there's like 3 behind you, and they'll like start biting your shirt. And
I know
like,
when you bowed to one, I was worried you're going to lose an eye.
I'm glad they warned us that could happen, but I had my glass on. But it was like kind of just funny, just having these deer like biting my shirt, like pulling at me like, hey, give me some stuff. So that was cool. And then the samurai experience I did with the sword training and the sumo show we're in the same like area, and like the sumo show I like stumbled upon because I was in that area, which is also the area that I got the Uniqlo jacket, which was an area of Japan, Tokyo, that I didn't think I was going to be into. I just wasn't even supposed to be in that area, and then that was one of my favorite parts of Tokyo, and it was I think it's the part I was in. I think it's called Asakusa, but it's part of Taito City. So maybe I'll write something up, but like that was a cool place because it had the museum. Those were my 3 favorite experiences. Definitely the samurai thing, the sumo thing, and the
Sumo
the
looked
deer.
fun. That looked like quite an experience.
Yeah.
Will you be back?
To be honest, like when it got to Monday, I was like, you know what? I am satisfied. If I had a whole nother day in Japan, I do not know what I would do.
Yeah,
Like
more the same.
yeah, I'm like, I am satisfied. I am ready
That's
to
a
leave.
sign of a great vacation, though.
It was perfect. And if I were to go back, there might be some more stuff I do. Like I didn't go to Hiroshima. I might want to do that, but I would go back in spring and see like all the cherry blossom stuff. Because let me tell you, it was hot and humid there, like way more humid than here. And I got lucky. I somehow perfectly planned my trip between 2 typhoons and an earthquake.
Wow.
So when I was there, I was good. But like a couple days the other way, I would have been not too great.
Yeah, that would have been a bummer. That would have been a tough pill for me to swallow. Just seeing Randy not be able to go to his Japan trip because of a typhoon.
But they do have some really good shopping areas there. Like I don't know how much you like shopping you did when you were over there, but did you go to Osaka?
How much shopping did Barrett do when he was over there? Come on.
Did I go to Osaka?
Did you go to Osaka?
No.
Oh yeah. If you go to Osaka, there's the street that we went to was like the big, like the one mall that I went in there. It's like a huge street. It was just all shopping and tons of stuff. And then there's like a mall within that. The malls there are crazy, Will. Let me tell you that. And the mall I went to had literally probably every brand we've ever talked about on Retail Therapy.
Checks out.
I was like thrown away. I'm like, I know all these. I don't know what these brands are, but I recognize them on Retail Therapy. And that was Shinsubashi Shuji Street in the Cho ward of Osaka. If you just look up like the shopping district of Osaka, it's just like a giant domed street that just has a bunch of shopping. So that was really cool. And then Takeshito Street in Shibuya in Tokyo was like where the first ring the bell thing I did, where I kind of stumbled into a streetwear thing store. That was cool too. So there's some really good shopping in Tokyo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I was going to Japan,
they're not lying
that's when
about
I'm
that.
going to budget my suitcase to have stuff coming back with. Like I would just have to.
Yes.
Yeah. Closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. It was a good trip. I'm glad I did it. If you ever do go to Japan, I'll give you some do's and don'ts. Be prepared to carry your trash, which I think Barrett had warned me about stuff, but that was the most shocking thing to me was how clean the cities were with no public trash cans and stuff. Cause our tour guide told us that like, it's part of Japanese culture that everyone like takes care of trash. And like, if you have trash on you, you're supposed to keep it and bring it home with you and throw it out. Like the only time you can find trash cans or anything there is like recycling things at the vending machines. There's a bunch of vending machines everywhere, but like otherwise, like there's no public trash cans. I was out on Saturday in Austin. Like I was on one corner. There's a trash can every single corner. I'm like, all right, great. But like Tokyo and Osaka are just so clean for just no public trash.
Yeah.
They are very good about cleanliness there.
Bring a trash bag.
Yeah.
Bring a trash bag.
Don't get the hot dog at the Japanese baseball game. That was the worst thing I had in Japan. It was not good.
Was that a professional Japanese ball
Yep.
game? Yeah. So that was like that where Shohei used to play, right?
That was at Tokyo Dome. It was
Yeah.
I don't know if there's neither one called Tokyo, but it was the Giants versus the Dragons.
Yeah. So it was the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sick.
It was really cool because
Baseball Barrett.
it felt like
well, it's
Yeah.
it's big over there, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I just don't follow baseball at all anymore.
the chants
Sad.
and stuff were so cool. It felt like probably what like a premier game feels like, but it was Japanese baseball.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
if you want to go shop, there's so much shopping to do. If you want to nerd out a little bit, there's so much of that. The mall, like the biggest thing for me for Retail Therapy is the malls there are different than the American malls, but they are so much more. Like they have so much high brand, but like they're not like open where it's like a big flat, like 2-story building. It's a very vertical. So like these malls will be like 7 stories high, and like every floor is just like a bunch of boutiques and like stores. So it's a cool experience for sure. It's different, but same, but very different.
You have only fueled my fire of wanting to go to Japan even more.
Yes.
Yeah. Shall we hop on the plane to Italy?
Let's do it.
We arrived in Florence. This is my second time in Florence, and I will be honest, I don't need to go back for a long time.
Okay.
It's a cool city. I'm glad I've been there once. It's not a city that like I love being in for some reason. I don't really have an excuse as to why. We were there at a time when a lot of the locals were on vacation. And so we had made reservations at restaurants that allowed us to make reservations, and they just had signs on the door being like, see you in September. And so it was just kind of an interesting little like couple days there, because we just found ourselves diving into places, hoping that somebody would be working somewhere we can get a beer, or hoping that we could go to this restaurant for dinner. And like people say you got to get the Florentine steak. I think Florentine steak is terrible. Like I'm not into it. It's too red, too dry aged.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a dry aged beef guy
at
this point in my life. Like I think I don't need the dry age. Just give me the beef. And so we spent really 2 days there, just kind of hanging out, getting ready for the wedding, enjoying ourselves. But the most enjoyable thing we did on the trip on the Florence leg, was that we did a cooking class with this woman named Barbara.
Okay.
We woke up early in the morning. We decided to go to the farmer's market with her, where we picked out all the ingredients. She led us around, told us how it works, kind of just gave us the rundown of everything. She bought us an espresso. And then we went to her house, and it was a very cool house right outside of Florence, where we made the meal in her kitchen. And then she had a table set up for us to eat the meal right outside. So we just had lunch right in her backyard with her dog, Lando, named after Lando Norris of the F1 ilk.
Not Lando Calrissian of Star Wars.
Correct.
No.
Correct. Yeah. And so, and that was really fun. Like we made this ravioli. That was one of the best things I had on the entire trip. It kind of opened my eyes to being like, oh, if you can get the proportions right, making pasta is actually like worth it. Like it was really, really good. But other than that, like we didn't truly do that much in Florence. It was almost kind of like the pre-wedding, like we were all just hanging out as like family and just kind of enjoying ourselves and just kind of doing whatever. We did hit all a lot of the little spots when we were walking, just to make sure that we got the Florence experience. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to leave. And so we did what I would consider to be, I don't want to say it was a mistake on the trip, but if you're an anxious driver, try to avoid driving in Italy. Like, I didn't get an international driver's license, and Sally did. So she drove us everywhere that we went.
Okay.
It's really a different scene over there when it comes to driving. Lanes don't mean as much to them. Blinkers don't mean anything to them. The people are just driving, just much faster. There's a comfortability on the roads there that I'm sure if an Italian person came to Austin, they'd be like, oh, what is he talking about? Like,
sure.
Sally and I landed after the trip, and I looked, and we were in the back of the Uber on the way back to our place. And I was like, it's insane that I'm happy to see this 5-lane highway right now. Like, it's crazy that I'm so beaten down by Italian, like small lanes and everything, that like I'm pumped to be on a giant highway.
It's just like a Jason Bourne movie over there. Just everybody just like zipping around in Mini Coopers.
When I get to Lake Como, I will complain about the streets there. Driving in small Italian cities is the worst. Actually, no, I'll just fast forward right now. So when we rented the car. The first car that we got was completely covered with dents in it from hail. And so we were like, hey, there's too much damage on this car to report. And so like could we get a different one? And they gave us a Jeep Renegade. So we hopped in our Jeep Renegade, and we met everyone at a wine tasting in Montepulciano. Well, we took a couple of wrong turns in Montepulciano because the roads are just so confusing. Obviously, everything's in Italian, so we couldn't read all the signs. I hadn't learned the signs over there yet. Like they have different signs for speed limits, for whatever. And so I hadn't learned them yet. We made a wrong turn, and suddenly we found ourselves really on the most popular street driving down it, with people getting out of the way, but also like you can drive down it, but you shouldn't drive down it. It got so bad to the point where like I'm not afraid to admit that I had a full-blown panic attack in Montepulciano. Like my hands went numb because we were just surrounded by people. The streets felt like they were just closing in on us. And it was like a full-blown actual anxiety attack to the point where I had to like take something. It was not good. And so like I think driving over there is a great move if you're comfortable with it and if you're okay with kind of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm glad that she's behind the wheel because I don't think I could handle this right now. And I'm an anxious driver anyway. I've always been kind of anxious. Growing up in a city without stoplights and moving to Austin was jarring. So it's just never been my thing. And then, so we did a wine tasting there, had some really good food and everything. And then we found ourselves in Tuscany, which like when you go to what I've learned is after going to 2 Tuscan weddings is that you don't really leave. Like we left for dinner to go to, what was it called? I think we might've gone, no, we didn't go back to Montepulciano. We went somewhere else. And had one of the best dinners we had. I'll find the name of the restaurant and I'll put it in the listener digest, but we had a shrimp scampi there. That was like, I was on a prefix menu because we had so many people, but that was probably the best restaurant meal that I had the entire time. It was just homemade pasta, like fresh shrimp. It was just really good.
Was it a shrimp scampi summer?
It kind of was.
Yeah,
it kind of was. That was kind of the nice little cherry on top of shrimp scampi summer.
Did you have a go-to drink over the course of this trip, by the way?
I had to retire from my go-to drink, Barrett, because I started to feel pretty bad after them. First couple of days of the trip, I was averaging 3 to 4 Negronis a day. And so finally I backed off. I had a bad enough hangover after the wedding that I told Sally, like, I'm probably not going to drink much on the remainder of this trip, which I didn't. And so, but once I did switch off of that, I started going to Americanos. Yeah, I still wanted the Campari. I didn't. And so it was just Campari, sweet vermouth, called it a day. And that kept me steady. That made me feel good. And I never really strayed from that after. So that was really my go-to the entire time.
Okay. All right.
In Tuscany, Tuscany is just beautiful. You can't drive around there without being like, everything is really good looking. But like you're staying at a villa where, there's not a lot of frills. I mean, we were told early on, hey, people in Tuscany don't want to work. So don't expect them to be bending over backwards once you arrive. And that was fine. It's a lazy country life there. And that's kind of the charm of it. And the wedding was great. I was stressed about my suit because I just wear the same suit every single time. But I did have Sally gave me a Drake's tie for Christmas last year that I had not worn yet. And so I was very excited to toss on a tie for some reason. And when I was told that all the guys were going no tie, I was like, well, I'm still going tie. Yeah. So catch me in the tie.
Catch me tying.
I'm very into ties right now. Like it's probably the dad in me jumping out, but sure. I think ties are fun right now.
You wore your Suit Supply light colored suit.
I did.
Not the green suit.
Not the green suit. I didn't even pack the green suit. I decided to go with the light one.
Did you have to get bridal approval for wearing a white suit?
No. But I did avoid standing next to her in photos. I will say that. It doesn't read as light as it does in photos in person to me, but also I tried not to be around the bride very much. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like I wore it to another sister-in-law's wedding in Napa last summer.
Okay.
And the way that the photographer edited the photos, she kind of overexposed some things. I think whitening some teeth, doing whatever. And suddenly my suit was bright white and I'm in the wedding photos looking like I'm like just in Miami. Yeah. Like it was just ridiculous looking. And so, I went with that. But it travels well. It treated me well. And I was glad to have it because I ended up having to wear a jacket to dinner like the next night. And so the biggest leg of our trip that we had to travel for was the 5-hour drive from Tuscany to Lake Como.
Which Salgal made?
Salgal made it.
Yeah.
You can just go back to Tuscany and take a train and then get a car, do whatever. It saved us a lot of money to just rent a car and do it ourselves. And I'm glad that we did that because, we saved so much money by doing that. Yeah. It was a lot more stressful, but, it's less stressful than trying to figure out a way to pay for it. But we found a spot in Modena, not Modena, Modena. That was a sandwich shop. It was actually, I think, Heather McMahon, the comedian, she had gone there on her Italian trip and done a story about it and said it was like the best sandwich of her life. I can confirm, best sandwich of my life. Like incredible sandwich. It's the place where we had the cheap Lambrusco as well.
Got it.
And it's just like, we just kind of did a pit stop there just to recharge the batteries, grab some stuff. And that was really enjoyable. Like driving through Modena, it wasn't a busy touristy city. And so it was really easy to do. And they're known for their meats, their cheeses, things like that. And so all the ingredients that you're eating in these sandwiches are just elite. Did a little walk through the market there before hitting the road again. And we went straight to Lake Como. When we went to Lake Como, we were close to it. I could tell we were 10 minutes away from the hotel we were staying at that night. But suddenly you just go around this turn and you see the lake for the first time. And I just had the realization like, yeah, this is everything that everyone has ever said it is. Like, this is so cool.
Did y'all slap down and buy the Mr. and Mrs. Smith house?
It's €6 million.
Okay.
Which I hate what I'm about to say. I can't believe it's not more.
Okay.
I told Sally, like, if I see like a $1.5 million house in Austin, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why would you ever pay that? When they said it was $6 million, I looked at Sally and I go, I think we got to go figure out how to make this work. Like, that's hands down the coolest property on the lake. And even we had a local boat guide named Marco who was taking us around and showing us everything. And he was like, let me show you this. It's the coolest one. Second we saw it, I go, this looks really familiar. And Sally just looks at him and she goes, was this in Mr. and Mrs. Smith? And he goes, yes, it was on Prime. And so, like, I mean, it is such a cool little villa.
Yeah.
You can actually rent it right now. Regular price to rent it is €2,000 a night. Right now, you can rent it for €1,300 a night.
Wow.
And there's 3 bedrooms. When you split that between 3 people, it
Not too
suddenly
shabby.
becomes the
Not too
greatest deal
shabby.
in Lake Como. And if you want to go look at the house, it's called the Writer's Nook, and you can just look it up. It is such a cool property. It's only reachable by boat. I wish we would have been able to go up and see it, but you know, it's not available to the public. The first night we stayed there in Como, we stayed at a place called Villa de Este, which is one of the most popular hotels. If you do research about the hotels there, they're all old villas that have been redone. And there are really just a few that are like the mainstays, you know, the hotels that everyone says like, oh, if you're going to stay at like a really cool hotel there, these are the ones. So we wanted to do one night at like an iconic hotel. And so we just did one night at Villa de Este, and it was just really awesome. Everything was done well there. It really feels like an old money hotel. Like, it doesn't feel like, if the updates that they made still feel like you're, you know, at a villa in the 1800s or something. Like, it's just that cool. So we hung out there, and then the next day we went to our final destination, which was called Villa Lario. And I ended up falling in love with that property. It's a much smaller hotel with not very many people. What we found was it was a lot of honeymooners. There's a Canadian couple that was there who had gotten engaged while we were there, but it was a total departure from like a lot of the stuff that we had been doing. It was quiet. There weren't very many people around. You could find these little spots on the property where you could go do whatever you wanted. You could sit pretty much anywhere, and our friends Nemo and Domenico would come up and ask, hey, do you want a drink? And you could just order straight from a bar, sign your tab, call it a day. And it was just a nice way to cap off a busy trip of traveling and stuff like that. And especially after driving everywhere, like even the drive from hotel to hotel in Lake Como, you're going around you have to drive 45 minutes, even though it's like a 5-second drive across the lake. And so you're going on these roads where these Italians are just going around these turns, and they're over the center. I mean, I say over the center line. There's no center line. They're driving down the middle of the road, and they're just swerving out of the way to miss you. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how there aren't car crashes here every single day. And so once we made it there, it was like, oh, okay, don't have to drive for a little bit. We're good. And so we just kind of hung out, went to the pool, enjoyed ourselves. And luckily for us, my sister-in-law had friends that had moved to Lake Como during COVID. He started a boat business called Frankie's on the Lake, and then she's a photographer, and they were like, yeah, let's go out for a little like sunset cruise. And so we did a little boat night with them. And then the next day we had our actual boat day where we saw everything. You know, you see the villa from Al Pacino in House of Gucci. We saw the villa that was used in Star Wars and in James Bond. You see George Clooney's house.
Okay.
Clooney was in Venice while we were there, and I was really hoping we could see him like hopping on his boat or something. Mm-hmm. But his boat was out, cover was off. I'm sure he was there at some point.
Were you wearing a cashmere cardigan for the nighttime boat
I didn't.
rides?
I will say that if you are going to Italy in August, you do not need to pack a sweater. I packed 2 sweaters, a very light one and a chunkier one for like flights and stuff like that. Didn't even touch them. Like,
interesting.
Wish I would have just not. And so once we were doing the boat day, we ended up going to one of the other iconic hotels, Hotel Tremezzo, which if you look it up, you understand. It looks so Wes Anderson that it's not even funny. But I wouldn't stay there. I liked it, but I would not recommend if you're looking for like a low key experience. It did feel like it felt like a little Disney Worldy. Like everything was so packaged that like you just kind of felt like you were a cog. Like you were just kind of getting put through what everyone else gets put through. And we had unbelievable pizza that was 5 times the price of the pizza that you get in town. It was really good, but like I was like, okay, yeah, this is a little ridiculous. On the final day there, we actually went into Como to do some shopping and to hang out because we really hadn't done any shopping on the trip. And so it was a rainy day, unfortunately. So if you want to add any more anxiety to driving around the streets of Lake Como, do it during a downpour. And so we did a little shopping and stuff. And I snuck into the Como FC Stadium where they had like, they got bought, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And they have been promoted every season since, and they are now in Serie A, the top division of soccer in Italy.
Sick.
Their stadium is not up to snuff right now. And so they're not allowed to play games there yet. And so they're doing a bunch of construction on it. And so while we were walking through town, we decided to we saw this open gate and we saw these American absolute bros wearing NBA jerseys walk in. And I said, Sally, let's just follow them in, keep our distance so they know that we're not with them. But if anyone gets kicked out, it's going to be them first and we can just get out. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, the exact situation happened. But yeah, when I saw this sweatshirt.
So that's a Lake Como FC or whatever. What are they called? Atletico?
I think it's Como FC or let me see, Calcio Como.
Calcio Como. Okay.
They had like the regular store. I wanted to get a soccer jersey for my son because he loves soccer jerseys. Mm-hmm. And so I went to go get him one and I asked them, and they were like, no. They literally laughed at me in the store. Like laughed in my face. Like, no, we don't have that. Our jerseys are so popular right now. There's no way you're getting one. And so I was like, okay. I told Sally as we left the store, I said, I'm rooting against them in every game this season. But they had 2 other stores that were connected to the soccer club that were kind of different. And so this sweatshirt is not their actual logo right now. It's their vintage logo, their old school one.
That makes sense because I actually thought it was a volleyball, not a football.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but the store that we went into, they had these like cool linen hats that had the logo on it. They had like really high-end luxury items. But the second I saw the sweatshirt, I was like, oh yeah, okay. That's in my wheelhouse. I'm doing that. So that was really the only purchase I made. And I bought a pair of socks that said Como FC on them that are just kind of like white socks that were €8 that I thought were cool. And so we didn't really do much. We did go into this men's store where the guy who actually like did all the stuff was working the floor. And, you know, we got a full rundown of everything. I couldn't even tell you the name. I can go find the name. I'll put it in the listener digest. But I bought my dad a sweater from there. That was just kind of cool. But like, even then you're checking the prices and I'm expecting to see like €300. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. We really get raked over the coals here with tariffs, basically. Mm-hmm. That's a huge piece of it. And it's fun to shop over there, man.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And then going into the Milan airport, it was like, oh, if you want to do anything designer, just go here. Like you're going to get the great service because no one's in these stores and you can do whatever you want, but I avoided it. I did buy some body lotion at the duty free.
Okay.
If
Aqua de Parma.
If you're an Aqua de Parma boy like me, you just know that the duty frees treat you well over there. It's much more reasonable.
I walked through many duty free shops. I don't know. I don't actually like to stop at the duty free shop.
It doesn't feel good to shop at duty free.
I'm gonna hand up here. I don't really know what they are. What is a duty free shop? Because I saw multiple. I'm like, oh, what is this?
It's because like an airport is like sort of a gray area for commerce. Especially with international flights, because you're landing and you're stopping, but you're not actually going into the country. Basically, there's like a loophole that exists where you can buy stuff like tax free, basically.
Okay, so it's like international waters.
Yeah,
what's up? It's like international waters, of commerce.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Right? Did I basically describe that accurately?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, like, so
it's duty free. There's no duty.
Yeah.
And duty is the tax.
Which I messed up the first time I went shopping. I didn't bring my passport like you told me to. But when I went to Uniqlo, I made sure I had my passport.
Oh yeah, you have to have your passport. Yeah.
So we were able to show photos of our passport in Spain.
Oh, that's nice.
Which was really, really nice. And they were very strict about that in Japan. If you didn't have the passport on you, they were not giving you the deal. Yeah.
I ended up getting the reason I like Aqua de Parma so much is because we used to sell it where I used to work, Huzzah, Huzza in Harbor Springs. And I would buy it with my employee discount. And I just like fell in love with the luxurious nature of smelling good. And so I just looked it up. It's $88 on Neiman Marcus right now.
Okay.
I got it for €50, no taxes.
All right. Yeah,
called it a day.
That's good.
It was good.
Sometimes I feel like I look and like it doesn't seem like there's a discount.
Liquor doesn't when
liquor,
people do that, it doesn't feel like there's any discount there. It all seems very normally priced to me. And yeah, it was, I mean, it was a really good trip. Like the front end of the trip was very like family and kind of structured for the wedding, which was great. Like I enjoyed the entire thing, but it felt really good to go relax. But you know, we didn't go to any like restaurants that are things that I would call out because we were just kind of diving into places and eating and whatever. My body was so off with the time change that I wasn't even getting hungry until dinner. Like I couldn't even stomach breakfast most of the days that we were there because I just didn't want to. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything, if I missed anything. I don't know. There's a lot.
We can pop more stuff than we think of in the digest. Here's my question for you. You've been to Italy twice now in the last several years. What's next for you?
That's a good question. And I don't think my answer is very sexy. Sally expressed to me that she wants to go to Africa next. And I looked at her and I said, no, not happening. Like I do want to go to Africa at some point, but I either want to do it. If we're going to do a trip like that, it's got to be a long trip. And so I'm not going to leave our boys again for like an extended period of time. It's just that was my least favorite part of the trip. Like I'm officially the dad. Like by the end of the trip, I was like, I just want to get home and hang with these dudes. This sucks. Like I'm ready to go home. It didn't suck, but like I was like, I'm glad we're leaving tomorrow because like I am just ready to see them and hang out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a trip where we could really bring them. It didn't make any sense. And so I think the next thing that I would like to do is like Ireland. I want to go to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland and I want to dip back up to Scotland because when we went to Scotland the first time, we essentially spent 2 days in Edinburgh and then went to a cabin and stayed there for a few days and then went straight back to Edinburgh and immediately left.
Okay.
I want to go up to Scotland and explore, drive around. I want to go to, you know, the northern cliffs and I want to play a little golf if I can sneak away, stuff like that. It's not sexy, but that's like the itch that I have.
So it's actually really interesting that you bring up Ireland because on one of our tours, it was an olive oil tour. Our guide was an Irish woman by heritage who grew up, spent her entire life in Spain, except for a few years when she was like in her teen years where she lived in London. So she's an Irish woman that is Spanish, that lives in Spain her entire life, but has a British accent. Mm-hmm. So it's very, she was this really interesting mix. And we talked to her a ton about like Spanish politics and the tourism issue. And like, she had a ton of cool insight. It's honestly, whenever you're on a trip like that and you start falling in love with a place and you're like, man, boy, I'd really love to just live here and move here. That's it. All my problems would be solved. It's really nice to just completely get disillusioned by a local who's like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. You'll never make any money. There's no opportunity. You'll never be able to afford a house here. We all hate the government, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay, everywhere sucks. Yeah. Everywhere sucks.
Well, something that really amazed me was we were talking to our boat guide, Marco, and he was amazing. He said to us, he goes, I really like you guys. He goes, a lot of the people that I pick up from these nice hotels are assholes. Another quick thing. Another listener who I was DMing with that lives in Mallorca told me that they prefer the U.S. tourists. Really?
Yeah, because it's harder and more expensive for us to get over there. So I think we have a much more like respectful vibe.
Yeah.
As far as the culture and the art and the thing, like we're like.
We have to make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to make the most of it.
The European tourists, it's not like I kind of made the comp earlier. It's just more like going to Florida. It's going to another state in the U.S. where you're just like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, don't care.
Yeah.
But he told, this amazed me when he said it. He said, no, I'm so glad George Clooney moved here. It's completely changed the socioeconomic status of like this entire area. And I was like, Lake Como had to have been popular before. And he was like, I mean, it was popular, but like the Americans that come over now, he said it. He's like, I would not have my business if it wasn't for George Clooney moving here.
Yeah.
And I think I said this on Circling Back, but he said that when Clooney moved there, paparazzi was everywhere going crazy.
Right.
And Clooney felt bad about it, so he signed personal letters to everyone in the village apologizing for the paparazzi. I think he's made donations, but they all really like celebrate him now. Yeah. And there aren't that many.
He's the mayor of Lake Como.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't that many boats on Lake Como. Like there are a decent amount, but it's not like a busy lake.
Right.
You know, I think the tour guides are limited as to how many they can do per month, I think, or per week. And so like when you're out there, you are kind of like in the middle of nowhere. But if you go to Lake Como, please do a boat day.
You have to. You
have to.
You
do
can't go
a
over
boat
there
day.
and not do a boat day.
Just figure out whatever you need to do to get on a boat and see everything from the water, because it's just unbelievable looking from the water.
They like Clooney because nobody ever goes to his house and shits all over the place because they're on Ozempic.
Yeah, right.
Like Gwyneth Paltrow. So what you said, like I really like Japanese culture and history. I found it very interesting, but like I knew coming back to America, I'm like, I'm American. I like American culture. I'm happy to be here. Like I wouldn't want to live in Japan until like that first iPad that got swung around and I saw like 25%. Like, oh, I miss Japan.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed at how much I wanted Tex-Mex when I got back. It was like we landed and I was like, I need some Tex-Mex.
Oh yeah, I got some Jets pizza. Right, I was like, I need some American food.
Mm-hmm.
The look of gratitude on every server that I encountered when I told them to add like 10% Euro tip to the bill, that was so refreshing.
Oh, I was pretty much
we have this so wrong here, basically. Like it just, but yeah, you get to be a baller over there because you're like, oh yeah, add €5 to that $50 tab, and they're like, why would you do that? But thank you.
Yes, we didn't tip often, but we had a really good server at this pizza place we went to, and so Sally like gave her way too. I don't think Sally's not the best at calculating tips. I mean, I'm a waiter. Like I was a waiter, so like I can. It's just immediate for me. Like yeah, done. Like because I mean, you look at a tab and want to know if you got screwed or not, and like so it's just oh yeah, okay. And she tipped her, and it looked like Sally had given her a rare diamond. It was just like she was so happy. But we had like I think €25 left over that we needed to get. We weren't going to go exchange somewhere, and we just put it in one of the envelopes at the hotel and gave it to our favorite bartenders and thanked them. And like I mean the gratitude is crazy.
I think in Japan it's kind of maybe even part of the culture that it's rude to tip.
Yeah.
It was like good for me. I'm like I don't even have to feel guilty that I'm not tipping.
No, and like I didn't feel guilty not tipping on a lot of stuff because like I mean it's the standard.
Not expected.
It's the standard, but there were some times where I was like, okay, I want to do something nice for you.
Yeah. Just to wrap up Ireland real quick, she had amazing things to say about Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Ireland's very hot right now. It's got Paul Mescal.
Yeah, true.
It's got Daisy Edgar Jones. It's got Guinness. Their government actually sounds like they're doing a lot of really cool things. Like they are making it very easy for young people to buy their first houses over there.
Well, Conor McGregor's running for president there now, and he wants to change everything.
I don't know. I feel like Ireland is kind of having a moment or something.
I'd be lying if I said that.
I would like to go there too.
I did 23andMe when we were at Grand X for an ad deal, and as 23andMe gets more and more information, they hone in more and more on stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I had no idea how Irish I was, and like I never thought I'd be the person to be like, oh, now that I know I'm like a majority Irish, I would love to go see that now. Like, but I do.
Got to go back to the homeland.
I do, but a UK trip is in the cards, and it's just also so doable. You know, it's not a quick flight, but it's not.
You're only 6 hours ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just very doable, and so I think the next big trip we do overseas would probably be there. Just out of ease.
You've been watching Industry recently.
Oh yeah, baby.
I have been binging Slow Horses.
Okay.
And yeah, so there's just a lot of love for London floating around too. You know, I know you love that place.
Industry's a delight. Yeah, London's my favorite big city. It's just awesome, and it's got like I told Sally, it's got everything I'm interested in.
Yeah,
soccer and Guinness. What else do I need? It's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, do you know we have a soccer team here in Austin? And,
I support the Austin. I support the Verde.
A couple of Irish pubs. So,
I up the boys.
So I guess Austin has everything that you love too.
That's true. It's true.
I remember my biggest do of Japan, which just should be any type of foreign travel. Get some yen. I'm so glad that I had yen. There's a lot of cash only places in Japan.
My biggest do of Italy. If you have bottled waters in your hotel room, take them with you.
Oh, how did we not mention the water?
Insane.
Nobody drinks water.
Are their livers okay? Like I told Sally, like you need to become a liver doctor, whatever you need to do, maybe the liver queen.
Do they not?
You need to go over there and have a clinic because they cannot be healthy. But they're all living longer than us.
They do, yeah, but they clearly do not hydrate in the same way. Are we just being lied to over here that we need a certain level
because
of
I felt like shit the entire time. I'm not kidding. The first 2 days we were in Lake Como, I barely drank at all because I was trying to hydrate and I couldn't get hydrated. Like the only time I could get hydrated was when I finally said, like, can I get 5 water bottles?
Yeah. But
then someone told me, they're like, you can drink the tap water here. It's Lake Como. Like, you're fine.
Right.
But I'm still just, I'm not trying to drink tap water on vacation because it just
it can always have something that doesn't agree with you.
yeah. And so like it was
Same in
just
Spain,
crazy.
The tap water is fine to drink, but yeah. And by the way, I know that being a traveler or being a tourist over there is different. The difference is that like restaurants do not offer you water. You have to buy the water. The hotels, there's never any like water fountain or place to like put your water bottle or like refill it. That you have to call down and get water delivered. You have to stop in convenience stores to buy water if you want a giant water. If you want like the level, the difference is like the accessibility of water as a traveler. Like we just take it for granted here because restaurants are just plying you with free water everywhere. That everybody has. There's just water everywhere because we're all drinking water all the damn time. That is just not happening over there.
Sally went into town when we were in Tuscany she and her mom went into town to do some laundry for the bride and groom who needed some stuff cleaned, and we didn't have anything at the villa. And so they went in there and I said, Sally, please go pick up a pallet of water from somewhere and bring it back to the villa for everybody. And she's like, it's nowhere. It's nowhere. You can't do it. And I was just like, what are we going to do here? It ended up like, I ended up finding my hacks, which was just literally, if I saw a water bottle, grabbing it and stealing it and just being like, okay, like every place I went to, I was just hoarding it.
That's another do for me, by the way. You mentioned the laundry. Pack as many pairs of underwear and socks as you're going to need for your entire 12, 10, 13-day trip, whatever it is. Because doing laundry at the hotel, that is criminally expensive.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's per garment.
Per 3 to 4 euro?
Really?
Per underwear,
yes.
Randy.
Wait, okay. My place in Japan just had like washer, like in the dorms, just like, a couple yen and you're good to go to do a load.
No, everywhere that I stayed was like, had the little thing in the closet where you have to like fill out the list and put it all in the bag. And it was at one place, it was €3 for a pair of underwear, €3 for a pair of socks. And at the next place, it was €4 for a pair of underwear, €4 for a pair of socks.
Yeah,
Did you wear everything you bought?
Almost.
The only
I think 3 things didn't get worn.
My last 2 nights on the trip, I think I might have had some weird outfits on because I was like, I'm wearing this. I'm not wearing this.
I tried to force it. I tried to make to check that box and get that accomplishment of that I wore every single thing I brought. I couldn't get it done.
I think I'm going to start a Depop account or something, like Grailed something, because I brought a Ame Leon Dor shirt, and I told Sally after the trip, if I'm bringing this to Italy and not wearing it, I ain't wearing this. It's done. It's over for this shirt. And so it was tough folding that and putting it back in my closet because I was like, man, I feel bad for this little guy. Like he made the cut.
Right.
Like he went to the Olympics on the dream team, but he didn't even sniff the court.
No,
yeah.
Man.
Yep.
But getting in the bag, that's something.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
That shows.
So I don't know if he's off the roster yet.
We'll see. I did wear my nipple shirt.
Yeah. Your black knit polo.
I decided to do that for our boat day.
Yeah.
I looked at Sally and I said, I almost, had I not done it for the boat day, I wouldn't have worn it. And I was like, you know what? It's an Italian boat day. Let's toss the nipples out.
Let's let them fly free.
Barrett, I have a little travel anecdote for you.
Okay.
Because it relates to the last episode of Retail Therapy, even though that was like, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
I almost bricked my flight over there, my 11-hour flight.
You almost bricked it?
I almost bricked it. So I had gotten that little clip that you had said on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
$13, fantastic. Yeah. I went from Denver to Vancouver to Osaka. I got the clip out, was going to clip it on to watch a movie, and then I saw the flight I was on had like the little shelf already built in. I'm like, okay, I don't need this. I'm going to put it away. I put it in the back seat pocket of that first flight. And then, so I got on the second flight and realized, okay, well, I left that on the plane, so I don't have it. I also had looked up beforehand if Japan had different plugs than America, and they do not. They have the same.
Yeah,
they
you can. Yeah,
yeah. They don't.
They look different, but you can put your.
Yeah. They don't have the ground. They don't have the third part.
That's right.
Like if I'm just charging my phone, it's fine. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be fine. Like I can still hold my phone, whatever. Not realizing that I was taking Air Canada over there that does have a different plug. So I got onto the 11-hour flight with like 30% battery on my phone.
No,
but no USB.
No USB. They had USB for.
I got yelled at by the flight attendant for plugging my phone in too early.
Real okay.
He goes, I plugged it in and just put my phone in the pocket while we were waiting.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it because I was like, well, what? I'm not using my phone, so I'm just going to plug it in, shut my eyes, whatever. He comes by and he says, that's not going to work until we take off. And I said, okay, that's fine. He comes back right before we take off and he just goes, unplug that, sir. And I was like, oh, okay. I did not get that from your first,
man.
Dude, I know. I feel like I'm like, am I putting out a weird vibe?
Maybe.
I don't like the way you're looking at me when you say maybe.
So, and thankfully that, they had backseat headrest movies and they gave you like headphones, and I just watched like 3 movies on there because I was like,
my flight home, Barcelona to Atlanta, the entertainment, the whole thing on the Delta flight went down.
Oh, it went down for us for a little bit.
Mine froze, and I was like, I'm not doing 10 hours without this.
Well, for us, it was the whole plane. It wasn't just my screen.
For me, it was Sally's froze too. Then it started working, and then mine didn't work until they did an in-flight announcement, which I think reset my system.
Okay,
and the woman in front of me had the same thing happen. But I started looking around, and I was like, okay, there's a seat over there. There's a seat over there. There's a seat over there. Which one am I going to choose when I tell this flight attendant that I'm not sitting here this entire flight?
Yeah, they had to get on the radio and do something with ground or whatever to re-download or install blah blah blah. It took them 2.5 hours, but finally they got the thing back up and running. But that would have been rough to have zero because like we've already discussed, we don't have an iPad. I didn't have anything downloaded on my phone.
See, I have my iPad that I only use for personal viewing. Last time I said that, everyone's like, "Is that porn?" I said, "No." And so. I'm an over downloader, and luckily I had every episode of Industry ready to rip, so I was just cooking.
There you go. But
essentially it's porn, right?
Industry's got some scenes. Yeah, I was doing the 10-second tap forward on some scenes on the plane. I was like, I know what happens here. Is that all she wrote?
I think so.
Man, we covered a lot of ground today, a lot of miles, a lot of kilometers.
I'm sure we could keep going, but I feel like we
it's rare to go an hour and a half.
We covered the big stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, no disposable cameras from the boys?
I did not do the one up north. I did the Holland here. So my film will be processed by hopefully the end of the week. We'll see. Not the hour one.
Oh
I didn't want to drive all the way up
Just
there.
give it to me. I'll go do it for you. It's 5 minutes away from my place.
It's getting developed.
I have the exact same story as Randy. I didn't want to drive to Lago Vista.
God, just bring them to me. I'll go get it done for you.
I will also say it's half the price at Holland.
Yeah, but you get it immediate.
It's $35 for a roll at Lago Vista, right?
No,
it's 20 something for sure. It's only 16 at Holland. Let me calculate. But it's definitely over 20 at Lago Vista.
I took it to Holland as well. So I'm supporting another small business.
Hand up. I got them digitally developed,
right?
And I had them keep the negatives, which is an extra $3 per roll.
Yeah,
and I paid $24.87 per roll.
Okay. All right. That's less expensive than I thought it was. But for that same thing, Holland is $16.
If you are traveling...
But yes, I'm not going to... I took them a couple days ago, and I'm not going to have them until next week.
If you travel with film, you can hand it straight to the security agent, and they will take it around for you.
I did not do this.
So
I let it go through the x-ray machine every single time. I just couldn't be... I was like...
Based on our research, Sally and I did a bunch of research on this. Based on the research, it shouldn't affect it.
Yeah.
But just the slight chance that it could, I had a plastic bag. I put my 8 rolls of film in it. And any time that I handed it to a security agent, they it wasn't even a question. Yeah. They were just, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And they brought it around. They swiped it with something, got it cleared, handed it back to me. And but having the peace of mind that I did that was enough.
Yeah. Well, you were good at taking photos, so they're worth salvaging.
Yeah. Well, I was taking so much filmed photos that I didn't have much on my phone. And so I was like, if these don't turn out, I'm going to have nothing from this trip.
I'm the opposite. I have 200 plus Instagram stories right now, and everything else with the film is a bonus for me. So.
I was leaving my phone behind and just only bringing my camera places because I was like, no, I'm loving this right now. But I was stressed.
Yes, but I should have some film next week.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, let's get out of here.
Let's do it. We'll see y'all next week.